Before we begin the demo, just a short introduction about this topic. The topic is responsive design in Dataverse for Teams. A little bit about me. My name's Reza Dorani. I'm a Microsoft Business Applications MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer. I am the leader of the Houston Power Platform user group. I have my own YouTube channel wherein I blog about the Power Platform and more, and that's my Twitter handle. So the topic for today is responsive design in Dataverse for Teams. The assumption here is that you have worked with Dataverse for Teams before. However, I will try and build something from scratch so we can see it live in action. So out here in Microsoft Teams, I have a very simple theme called Power 365. And as part of Dataverse for Teams, I would like to create an app for this specific theme. And for that, you need to have the Power Apps app installed in Microsoft Teams. In my case, I already have it installed and it's right here on the left-hand navigation rail. When I launch this app, this is providing me the Power Apps Maker experience right here in the context of Microsoft Teams. And if I head over to the Build tab, this will list out all my teams that have the Dataverse for Teams environment created. Now, as part of this theme, prior to the demo for today, I already have a table that I have created called Work Progress Tracking. It's a very simple table that has certain data points that I am maintaining for tracking the progress of my work. I will show you this table in action as well. So the first step is to create the app. And right here on the Home tab, I will head over to Create an App, go to Select a Team, and I will select my team called Power 365 and click Create. And this now will launch the Power Apps Studio experience right here on the context of Microsoft Teams. I will give my app a name. I'll call it Work Progress Tracker and click Save. And this now will create the first version of my app and provided the name that I just provided, which is Work Progress Tracker. Now in Dataverse for Teams, you can directly start building tables right here in the app itself. Yeah. For the purpose of today's demo, I already have my table pre-created. So I'm going to connect to my table, which is Work Progress Tracker. And the moment I create my first table in my app, automatically the home screen of my app in Dataverse for Teams, which is basically the hero layout, goes ahead and connects it to that table. And I have a gallery on the left that shows me all the data associated with my table and a form control on the right, wherein I can perform full CRUD operations, create, read, update, delete against that data. Now, as part of this table, I'll just show you what this table has first. It's a very simple table that has different column types, text columns, choice columns, status columns, dates, and so on and so forth. Now, the goal here is to understand responsive design. Now, as part of this home screen, if I just preview the app, and let's say I start changing the dimensions of my screen, okay? If you observe right now that the form control is to some extent responsive. As the real estate of my screen decreases, the form control automatically starts positioning the elements. And the home screen is responsive, but if I was to build other screens like I do in Power Apps, how do I make those responsive in Dataverse for Teams? Also, if I take this home screen as a reference point in Dataverse for Teams for building responsive screens, this screen uses container controls. It does not use the new responsive container controls, something that was demoed in last month's community call. Now, these container controls that are dropped in here have formulas. So if I look at the width for this container, it's parent.width, that's the width of the screen, minus the left container.width, and here's the left container. So they have actually written formulas for the width, for the height, for the X property, for the Y property of these containers to ensure that elements within those containers are responsive. There is some work involved to build something like this. On the other side, we have the new responsive containers. So let me add a blank screen and show you first what these responsive containers are. If I head over to the plus icon on the left and search for container, these are the two responsive containers, the horizontal one and the vertical one. For now, I'll just pick the vertical container. And as part of this container, I will go ahead and add a few simple controls. Let's say I add 3 buttons in here. And for all of these buttons, just so that we can distinguish them, I will go ahead and name these buttons A, B, and C. Okay, simple, 3 buttons. And I'll try and zoom in as well. So these are 3 buttons that I've added as part of this container, responsive container. Now the direction of this container is vertical, so the elements that I add or the controls that I add in this container will be stacked vertically. If I change this to horizontal, they will be stacked horizontally. I can even define the justification, whether I want to center align these, start from the left. I can even define the vertical alignment. The beauty is that all of these attributes are being maintained at the container level, and all the controls that I add within these containers will follow the pattern that I have defined or the properties that I have defined as part of the container. Now in here are some key properties. One of them is wrap. So with wrap, in this case, it's a horizontal container. If the width of my screen, or let's say the width of my container, does not have enough real estate to fit these buttons, you will note that this horizontal container will start wrapping the controls vertically. And if I change this to a vertical container, if there is not enough height available, these controls will start wrapping horizontally. So with these properties of wrapping, scrolling, center aligning, width, you can even define fill portions and other stuff related to controls. Building responsive screens has been made easier for us. So we can leverage these properties to quickly build responsive screens. And not just that, we also have new screen layouts that are responsive that we can choose from. And we've been provided with 3 screen layouts, as you can see right here. Now in this demo, I'll build a full app in 5 minutes, hopefully. So let's begin with that. I'll pick one of the layouts, and honestly, I'm just picking it randomly right now. I'll pick this one, header, main section, and footer. The moment I pick this, let me rename this to home. So this is going to be my home screen. And as part of this screen, and let me try and center align this, I have those same responsive containers that are baked in right here as part of the template. So here's my main screen container, which is a vertical container. So everything that goes in here will stack vertically. Within this container, we have 3 other containers. So you can nest containers. You can have a container within a container. Now let's see how simple it becomes to build a responsive app in this scenario. So for the header container, I'll add a very simple header, and typically we use a label control. So I'll add a label control here. I will call this work progress tracker. Okay. And maybe I'll increase the font size. Maybe I will center align this, and maybe I'll give it a color of purple. And once I add my information right here for my label control, if I head over to this container, I have the property for vertical alignment. I'll make it stretch. So the label stretches the entire width, the entire height. And then if I select the label control, there's a property called flexible width. So if I enlarge this, it's going to span the entire width of the container. Now, one thing I'm observing is I'm not able to see the text for some reason.
Reza, the font size is 5.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you. All right. Don't go to font size 165. All right. So I've just center aligned my label control right here. And as you can see, the control is right there, center aligned in the header. Now I will try and add something similar on the footer. So I can even just copy this control, go to the footer container, paste it right here, go to the footer container property and span it across the entire height. And for the text for the footer container, maybe I'll change this to something like all rights reserved. And this is PowerFX, by the way. So I'll just write a simple formula, give me the year for today. So it will paste today's year right in there. Now, this is my header and my footer. Now for the center section, I'll place a very simple gallery control, which shows data from my table. So I'll pick the vertical gallery. Now, the moment I do this, if you observe, the vertical gallery is not spanning the entire width of my container. And for that, all I have to do is go to the container and stretch the horizontal alignment. Now, if I select the gallery, you will see that the width is spanning the entire width of that container, which in itself is responsive. I will connect this gallery to my data source. I will go ahead and choose one of the layout types here for the gallery. And this now adds my gallery control right here. If I go ahead and preview this app, you will see that I have my gallery, I have my header, I have my footer. And as the width or the height of my app changes, you will note that the header and the footer are actually responsive. They're always center aligned, as you can see right here. And that's because of the properties that have been pre-built as part of those responsive containers. Now, if you observe the gallery here, the gallery is sitting in a one column format, whereas I have a lot of real estate available right here. So how do I use that real estate and change the behavior of this gallery based on my screen size? This is not something that the container control gives you. This is something that you need to code in to the gallery. Now, as part of this gallery, if I look at any of the controls, so let's pick subtitle 3. If I look at the width says title3.width. So this is my title column. So let's look at the width of this column. There's a formula here called parent.template_width. Now, what's the parent of this control? It's the gallery. What's the width of the gallery? Well, right now it's 640, but that's flexible. As the container size changes, the width of the gallery changes. So parent.template_width is a property that will give me that responsive width depending upon the real estate or the wrap count for my specific gallery template. Now, in this case, I will edit this and add a background to this. So I'll add a rectangle shape. And for the shape, I'll begin from the left. For the width property of the shape, I will do exactly the same thing, parent.template_width. So it will span the entire width of the parent. For the height, I will change this to parent.template_height. So it will switch to the template height. It will eat up my entire gallery space. Now, of course, I don't want this to sit at the top, so I will reorder this and send this to the back. And all my label controls, they don't look good in this dark background, so I will change my text color to white. And for my gallery, I will add a little bit of template padding of, let's say, 15. So this looks like they are boxes, right? They look like independent boxes of gallery items. Now I have a lot of real estate on the screen. Why not use it? Well, for the gallery, there's a property called wrap count. I'm going to change this to 4. And now I have 4 items or 4 columns of data as part of my gallery. If I preview this, this is working. This is looking good on a desktop screen that I am on right now. But as my real estate shrinks, it will still try and fit it to those 4 columns because I've hard coded the wrap count to 4. And this will not look good on a mobile experience for sure. So how do I change my gallery wrap count dynamically depending upon the width of my screen? Now, as part of Canvas apps, there is a property in the app object called size breakpoints. These are predefined for you. So 600, 900, 1200. You can add your own size breakpoints. You can define the widths. And there is an additional property called screen.size that gives you a number starting from 1 all the way to the defining all the way through the number of points you've defined right here that you can leverage. So I'll show you how it works. So for my app right here, the work progress tracker header, I will add a property here called home.width. Okay, so what's the width of my home screen? That's what's being printed right here. And this is just for demo. I will also add something here called home.size. Okay, now if I preview my screen, observe my width right now is 1851 pixels and the screen size is being returned as 4. As I start changing the width, as the width of my app changes, notice how those values change. The width changes dynamically, of course, but that number has changed now to 3. Will change now to 2. And as I shrink this, it will go to 1 as well. So these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, where are they coming from? How are they being calculated? They are being calculated based upon the size breakpoints. So any width less than 600 would be 1, 600 to 900 would be 2, 900 to 1200, 3, greater than 1200, 4. So that's what's defining that size. Now I can leverage that size property in the wrap count and make it truly dynamic. Check this out. Instead of hard coding 4, I can just go the screen name dot size. Now if I preview my app, the width is 4, so wrap count is 4. The size is 4, so the wrap count is 4. If I start changing the width, so once it goes to 3, you will see how the wrap count changes to 3, right? When I go to 2, it changes to 2. So this is dynamic now. The number of columns in my gallery is responding based upon the real estate available on my screen. Now, this is not the default behavior of the container control. This is something that I just coded in by writing that one simple formula that says the wrap count of my gallery is my screen dot size, which is a property that is already available for us. So that's one. Now that I have my home screen defined, I would like to create my second screen, which would be my form screen. I'll try and save time, so I'll just duplicate the screen. So I have my form screen right here. I'll just change the text here to form screen so we know we are on the form screen. And I will delete the gallery in the center, and I will add a very simple form control right here. I will connect this form control to my data source, which is my same table. And once I add this form control in here, if I go and preview the app, I won't see any data because my form is in edit mode by default. I can change that right here by changing the form mode to new, so we can at least see the form in action for now. Now, if you notice right here, the form control is just sitting randomly somewhere in the middle, starting from the left, and it's not spanning the full width. The reason is because, once again, for the container control, ensure that you have the stretch defined right here, in which the form control is sitting. Second, just like the gallery has a wrap count, the form control has a property called snap to columns, which is turned on by default. I can change how many columns I would like to show as well. So I'm going to change this to 4. Okay. Now, if I preview this, you will note that as I start modifying my screen size, the form control tries to position 4 columns right here accurately. And as the width shrinks and there is not enough real estate available, the form control automatically transforms itself to a 3-column format. By the way, there's a bug in the 3-column format. The second column always shows up as 1 for some reason. And if I shrink this further and it goes to the 2-column format, you'll see that it will sit accordingly. So the form control in reality is already a responsive control in nature. The only thing you have to do here is ensure that you span your columns to the maximum width. In my case, I've spanned it to 4. And for each of the cards in the form control, there's a property called width fit. It's turned on by default. So ensure that this property is on so it fits the width. That's the real estate that is available. Now, in order for me to connect the 2 screens together, all I have to do right here is I have my form control. So for this form control, I need a submit button first. So in the header, I will go ahead and add a very simple icon, and I will call this save. So when the user selects this, all I'm going to do is submit the form, which is my form 1. And once I submit my form control has a property called on success. If this succeeds, I want to navigate the user to the home screen. Okay? As simple as that. And in order for me to connect the home screen and the form control, my home screen has the gallery called gallery 1. So for the form control, I will switch the mode to edit, and I will go ahead and set the item property, because I need to associate it with the gallery, to gallery 1 dot selected. Now, if I head back to my screen, that's my home screen, when the user selects an item in this gallery, so the gallery has an on select property, I would like to navigate the user to that form screen. So all I have to do here is first ensure that I reset the form. So the form is reset. I'll set the mode of my form. I'm trying to reuse the same form control. I will call this form 1. And then all I have to do is navigate the user to my form screen, which is poorly named as home 1. Also, I want the user to create an item. So I will go ahead and add an icon right here. When the user selects this, I will just change the form mode to new form. Now, if I preview this app, right? Look at the real estate. Right now, the real estate available, let's say I shrink this to, the size 2 or the size 3, right? It's automatically positioning itself. If I select an item, let's say I select flow tips, this will automatically even resize the form for me, navigate me to the screen called flow tips. Let's say I change the description to done. I click save. It will post my data, redirect me back to my screen. And here is the description that is changed to done. So it's actually submitted that data to my data source as well. Let's say it's more responsive. The user is probably accessing this on a widescreen mobile device. Here you go. I'll click on deploy COE. There you go, it's sitting in that 2-layer format. I save this, I'll come back. Want to create, let me change the size again. I would want to create a new record, okay? That's a new record. Now, you might think that the form control is acting weird right now. It won't act weird when you actually run it in the designer experience, when you're editing it. I have observed that it goes ahead and does this sometimes. So that's how you can leverage these containers and these basic formulas like screen size, width, and just play around with those common controls like galleries and form controls and truly build responsive apps in Dataverse for Teams. Now, of course, I want to show you a full-fledged app in action as well. I don't want to just show you this. So as part of today's demo, I actually created an app, and shout out to Deepak Srivastava as well from the Houston user group. He and I built this app together. We're calling this like the quiz app. So we actually, we did a quiz in one of the Houston user group sessions, and we thought about why not use Power Apps and why not use Dataverse for Teams. So here is a quiz app using Dataverse for Teams. And this app is truly responsive as well. And if you observe right here, I'm on the home screen. As the real estate changes, you see how the size of the screen changes, how the button size changes. For all of this, I use the responsive containers. So I'll go ahead and start my quiz. I'll go ahead and pick question 1. Any answers for this? I can't see the chat. What's the answer? This was recently announced at Ignite. It's Windows 10. So this is a quiz app that's running in Dataverse for Teams, right? And I can start going through all the questions, start answering all these questions. I know all the answers, by the way. I already practiced it before this call. So just go through the process. And the key here is not the app. The key here is the responsiveness aspect, right? Right now, I'm on a tablet with experience. Here is a desktop with experience. Here is a mobile with experience. You see how the gallery at the bottom changes its behavior, response, depending upon the size of my screen. I was scheduled to show this app last month, actually, and probably in a future session, I'll come and show this app from the ground up, how we built it. But for now, I'll purposely give a wrong answer, close this app, and I will post my results. I'll store my results in a table in Dataverse and post my results to my team so I can brag about it that I scored 2,000 points. And by the way, this is an adaptive card in action right here. Today's demo was all about responsiveness, so I wanted to show that aspect. Now, one last thing before I wrap up my demo, I will try and see if I can share my mobile device, broadcast my mobile device. Let's see if this works. It normally does. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, we got it. So I'm heading over to Teams. And I'll head over to my team again. And this is my team called Playzone, bad name. And as part of this team, if I head over to that same quiz app, I want to show it to you in action right here. If I pick that quiz app right now, I'm on a mobile device. Check out how the entire app responds to the real estate I have on a mobile device. It's that same app right here. I'll start the quiz. You see how the size is automatically adjusted. I'll pick question 1. And here is my question. And the answer for this, I think, is Satya. So I'll just pick that answer right here and start moving through the different questions of my app. So a responsive app built in Dataverse for Teams. And this app also works with those same responsive containers. We built this app first without the responsive containers. Once the container controls came out, it probably took me a couple of hours at max to make this app responsive. And trust me, that's extremely powerful. So that was my demo for today. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to your comments in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Reza. You knew what question I was going to ask on how long it took you. A lot of good feedback here. There are a couple open questions in the chat. I think in the interest of time, though, I'll let you handle those in chat and we'll move over to Uday. I do have one question, though, that always comes up with this, so I'm going to ask it so everyone can hear it. What about containers inside of containers? What's the story on that right now?
So the layouts itself are a great example of containers. The screen layout that I chose for the demo today, that's a classic example of a container inside a container. So you can nest containers. It is important that you do that. The key is that the main container that you have to still code the X, Y, width, and height properties, because if you don't, the main container itself needs a responsive behavior related to the screen. Mm-hmm. If you look at that screen layout, I did not have time to show it, but if you actually use any of those screen layouts, go to the main container and check the properties for the width, the height. The width is parent.width. That's the width of the screen. The height is parent.height. So that's already coded for you. And containers within containers, if you go too deep, you might get confused. I have tried it before. I tried a 4-level container option. Yeah. I found it really confusing because, setting the flex width here disturbs something at the bottom container. So I wouldn't recommend going nesting too deep, but 2 levels or 3 levels, I was able to successfully pull that off. Cool. That's great to hear. I love your demo too. Do you have that quiz app available anywhere? Did you post that online? I am planning to build a video for that and post it and export it the moment Dataverse for Teams has the export option. I know you can hack the export, but I won't do it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, might as well do it the right way to make sure it does work when everyone imports it, right? That's awesome. Thanks again for sharing that with us. Glad things are looking up down there in the south again too. That's great.